What's going on, guys? Coming to you from the world famous Stubbs Cycles in beautiful Houston, Texas. And look what I get to bring to you today. This is a Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Explorer. Now, this is the more road bias version of their flagship sport utility adventure motorcycle. And it has every possible convenience you could think of, as you would expect with a motorcycle of this caliber. So we're going to get her fired up. I'll tell you what, that 1200 triple sounds good. Now, this motorcycle's got multiple riding modes, all the creature comforts. We got a home link button, again, heated grips, buttons everywhere, cruise control. Well, that's awesome. But what is this thing like to ride? Well, we're going to get her on the road right now and answer that question. But before I get too deep into this, I've got to send a huge shout out to Hunter, Tommy, and the rest of the gang over at Stubbs Cycles for allowing me to bring this motorcycle to you. So here we go. So this being Triumph's flagship sport utility machine, it has all kinds of creature comforts. Adaptive suspension, tons of power on tap, a lot more spirited than you would ever imagine a motorcycle like this to be. So getting her onto the highway, we are in sport mode, but the suspension is incredibly compliant. We've got the adjustable windscreen all the way up, absolutely no buffeting whatsoever. Very commanding stance with this motorcycle, as you would expect for this type of a machine, but it's not quite as heavy as you may imagine. Again, right around 530 pounds, not super heavy. And given the displacement of this machine at 1200 cc, she's got a lot of torque everywhere, a slight tip into the throttle, and as you can see, she will start to collect mile per hour quickly with a very pronounced intake snarl. I don't know if that's coming over on camera, but it sounds really good. But tons of torque, yes. This motorcycle, though, also has a lot of horsepower, 150 to be exact. And at this weight, it rides a lot more like a sport bike than it does a sport touring bike. And if nothing else, it certainly puts the sport in sport touring. The suspension is very compliant on this machine. Tons of travel. Doesn't feel overly soft, but unlike any other motorcycle that you'll ride, this thing just absolutely absorbs any changes of plane, unevenness, bumps, you name it. This bike's going to handle that with no problem and have plenty of power to get around pretty much anything on the road if you need to get around it. As far as flickability, I wouldn't call it that, but it's certainly not lumbering. It does seem to be a little bit easier to move about than I initially thought that it was going to be, but you do still feel the mass of the machine. It does have an up-down quick shifter, and it's a very direct feeling link as well. Brakes feel strong too. Top shelf components for sure. I always appreciate when the quick shifter has that more direct feel to it. As we're sitting here, I'm on the balls of my feet, so not necessarily a short trip to the ground. But again, you wouldn't expect it with a machine that's as capable as this. One of the things that I take away from this bike initially is it feels lighter than the spec sheet would offer, and I think a lot of that has more to do with just the way that this motorcycle puts power down. You get the impression that there's just an abundance of torque and horsepower at every RPM. Let's get her on the highway here. Oh, I love that intake sound. That is awesome. That certainly adds some theater to your ride on this machine. So a lot of power on reserve, lots of torque. You find yourself able to just short shift this bike. It's pretty amazing. You're at no point ever compelled to take advantage of the far right hand side of that tachometer. There's really no need to. This motorcycle with this triple 1200cc mill is just producing torque all over the place. And that makes a bike fun, and it makes it feel very light. Yeah, just a slight twist of the throttle and she starts moving very, very nicely. You know, it's easy to see why so many guys find themselves attracted to motorcycles like this. You know, if you've been into sport bikes and you're kind of over that whole go fast thing, side of the tire, but you still want to get out and play. You still want to maybe eat up some miles, but you don't want to lose the sportiness. You don't want to lose the fun. You still want to be able to get out there and play around a little bit. But you're looking for more utility? God, this bike might be right up your alley. And again, that just immediate response of this engine is remarkable. Certainly instant gratification is a term that I would use. Very stable at speed. And with no buffeting behind this windscreen, a very comfortable ride, very pleasurable experience. You know, not getting your head beat up. You know, some windscreens do that. You get the sense that they're really not meant for speed, or at least for lower speeds is more their design parameter. This one, even at elevated highway speeds, no buffeting, pushing the air right around me, very comfortable. Tell you what, this quick shifter is so slick. Yeah, Triumph really got it right with that bit of technology. So what's it like to ride? Well, I gotta say, it really does feel like a great big dirt bike in a way, just because you're so upright, and because even though it is a bigger bike, it does feel a little bit flickable. Well, as flickable as a motorcycle would seem to be at this weight and at this girth. I guess a better way to put it is it's more lively than I would have expected it to be. But with that being said, it's easy to get spoiled by the kind of power that this bike makes. I mean, it really is surprising how strong this bike is. You know, bikes in this category can have a bit of a stodgy predisposition, I guess. You know, your mind is initially not necessarily drawn to a performance window with a bike like this, but you know, the performance that this thing puts down is very reminiscent of any sport naked bike. Let's see how she does in slower speed maneuvers. Oh yeah, just kind of cruising around the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. Easy to dive into those corners. Let's see how the brakes are in this thing. Let's do our normal brake run up. Oh yeah, she's got a ton of pickup. Brakes feel amazing. God, the initial bite of these brakes is so good. But yeah, right here in parking lot maneuvers, I gotta say I'm pretty surprised with just the ease that this bike provides for scooting around here. Now this is going to be a little bit of a struggle for me, I think. Oh, no, it's not. God, this thing is really good at slow speed. Look at that. At full lock, guys. So yeah, she's big, but she's incredibly well balanced. It does sound good too. Now, overall, guys, I'm very impressed with this machine. What a fun experience. I can certainly now see why so many folks gravitate towards these adventure bikes. With this one being more road biased, would make for a phenomenal day cruiser, even taking up significant mileage with this thing, kitted out with all the luggage. I think this thing would be amazing for long trips. They don't call them adventure bikes for nothing, right, guys? But with that, listen, if you made it this far into the video, consider hitting that subscribe button. Helps the channel out more than you know. But I got to go turn this thing in. Y'all take care.